And welcome back to Shifting the Scale. We're now focusing on what happens after surgery. We're going to start with a question tonight for Angela to answer. How do you manage post-surgical pain and discomfort?
Patients typically go home with like a tramadol, something for pain to go home with if needed. But typically within a day or two, they're transferring over to just Tylenol.
Oh, wow.
We don't use any ibuprofen products or anything, but usually they'll just need that tramadol just for a few days and just kind of for breakthrough pain. But typically patients do really, really well.
That's good news.
Yes,
All right,
they do really well.
Angela.
Brenda, here's a series of questions for you. We'll start with this. What's the recovery timeline like? When can patients start moving? When can they start exercising again?
It's a very fluid timeline. It's just like the weight loss is an individual journey, so is the recovery. Most people by that 2-week appointment, though, they're feeling pretty good. They've gotten back to some of their normal activities of daily living. A lot of people have gone back to work. It depends a lot on what your work per se is. If you do a very physically demanding job, it's probably going to take a little bit longer before you're back with no restrictions. Sometimes we can send you back on light duty, which means we may limit the weights that you can lift or the hours you can work, the activities you can do. People that have more of a desk job or a job that's not physically active can go back quite a bit sooner. We use the adage of let pain be your guide. So if you're not having pain doing it, you're free to do it. The one thing we do probably restrict more, though, is just kind of the watching the lifting heavy objects and things like that.
So let pain be your guide, let Zoom be your friend.
Yes.
Just zoom in if you can to work. So you answered the next question that I had, so I'm going to move on to this next one. What advice do you have for patients about the exercise after surgery? I don't think anyone's going to do CrossFit after 2 weeks, but how do you suggest that they start?
Typically, we always want them to start light and low, whether it's activity around the house or in the gym, the exercise portion of it. Just be smart about it. We want them to try something. If it goes well, they can progress to a little bit more activity, a little bit longer duration. And obviously, there's some activities are easier than others. Things around the house is a great way to start, doing some laundry, doing some dishes. And then starting their exercise program. Once they've had a chance to really physically heal, we kind of cut them loose and let them start whatever activity that they want to do.
All right. Thank you, Brenda.
Yeah, so as we talk about this post-operative care, how a patient's response is followed in the long term, the first question is going to be for Angela tonight. So what are the most common challenges patients face in the weeks and months following surgery?
So we follow them pretty closely after surgery, and we kind of will go through what to kind of expect. After that 2-week, we don't see them again for till the 1 month. So they'll go home and kind of have to really work on like the tools that Megan gives them in class. Work on those sips of water, getting that fluid in, trying to prevent like constipation, increasing their exercise. So sometimes they'll go back a step before they'll go forward, but typically just helping them with their pain, watch that diet, and just kind of follow up with them, make sure everything's moving forward.
And when you talk about follow-up, how important is the follow-up procedure for the 2-week, and then you said, what was it, 6 months? Or
so we'll see them again about the 6th week,
okay,
and then we see them about 3 months, and then 6 months. We always see them sooner if needed, but patients do pretty well with those short follow-ups, and we always touch base with them and can call and go through the diet, and they have a nice little notebook. They can go through any of that information, and it's important for them to follow up with us just so they kind of stay on track, and it keeps them pretty accountable for.
I was going to say, so that follow-up is critical for them to come back.
Yeah, so we definitely ask those questions every time they come in. Are you getting your water, those 60 ounces? Are you getting your protein intake? Are you following your vitamin regimen? And it does kind of just keep them accountable.
Okay, so when we talk about portion sizes, we're going to ask Megan tonight, what should patients really know about portion sizes and those eating habits after surgery?
Yeah, so we know this surgery significantly reduces the size of the stomach. So we're taking these stomach pouches from the size of a football down to the size of a golf ball or small banana. So portion sizes are very significantly reduced. Patients start out eating about 2 ounces a meal, which is a 1/4 cup.
Oh,
so
wow.
Very small portion sizes. And we want them eating 3 times a day with 1 planned snack. So we really focus on maximizing the amount of nutrition that they can get in every meal. So they really have to prioritize things like protein in the early stages. What a lot of people don't realize is when Dr. Hegvik creates the stomach pouch, he creates it very small, knowing that as the patient uses their stomach pouch throughout the first year, it is going to increase in size a little bit. So this question of, can your stomach pouch stretch? Yes, but we wanted it to. You know, he created it so that it would. And so over the first year, the patient's portion sizes are slowly, steadily increasing. When they're about a year out from surgery, and then for the rest of their life, patients are eating about 8 to 12 ounces. So about a cup to a cup and a half.
Each day?
At each meal, actually.
Oh, okay.
8 to 12 ounces at each meal. So as their portion sizes increase, one of the things that we focus on then is adding in more variety. So we focus on protein first, but as they're able to eat more, obviously more vegetables and fruits, more grains, because we really want them to have that well-rounded meal.
And you had mentioned earlier the support group, Megan. Your team offers a support group for those patients at CNOS. So tell us a little more about who could attend and what topics are discussed.
Yeah, I love our support group. It's one of my favorite things that I do at the clinic. So we have a support group that meets the first and third Tuesday of every month, and it's really a great combination of patients who have had surgery, individuals that are maybe thinking about surgery, patients that are going through the educational program. It's this great little wealth of information. And we cover topics, hot topics, you know, in the weight loss surgery world that focus around diet and exercise, mental health, things like that. Patients are picking topics on a quarterly basis. But my favorite part about support group is the fact that these patients are able to sit in a room full of individuals that completely understand what they're going through because they've been through it themselves. So we do a lot of open question and discussion type forums, but it's rare that these patients are out in the world surrounded by people who know exactly what they're going through.
So can anyone attend?
Anyone can attend. We're free and open to the public. We do get patients who had surgery in Sioux Falls or Omaha, Mexico. And not only is it for the patients, but it's for the patients' family members and other supporters because we also want them to see and experience what they're going through.
All right, Megan, thank you.
If you've got a question for our panel, there's still time to get it in. Simply send it to connect@ktiv.com. We're going to try to get them all answered by the end of this broadcast and also on the digital side on News 4 Now. It is time to take a break, but there's more coming up.
All right, so in the next segment, stay with us. We're going to look at nutrition and exercise following a weight loss surgery. Shifting the scale will return in 1 minute.